Journeys begin in two worlds, the mind and the physical one. First as intention, then as motion. But the inner world and the outer world do not always move in step. Sometimes the mind arrives where the body never will.
Bodies being recovered on 4 different days, including 12 last night.
Some journeys grant neither arrival nor return.
Nearly 500 migrants have died or gone missing since 2021.
They end halfway across. Yet the movement does not stop.
EU does not have the capacity to handle another major migration crisis.
Across seas and borders, people continue to set out in search of safety, work, or another life. And over time, that movement has been captured. What once was a journey has become a system. Illegality wrapped in paperwork. Transnational crime behind the curtain. Borders broken by design.
I finished secondary school after the 9th grade. After that, I worked at sea. I worked as a fisherman.
I am from the Nefchala district. For many years, I worked at sea in fishing. I also work as a captain on a vessel.
Since 2025, operational information has been received indicating that a group of citizens of the Republic of Azerbaijan outside the country's borders had fallen under the influence of a transnational organized criminal network and were being recruited into illegal migration and human smuggling activities along the Turkey-Greece route.
Journeys begin with a simple idea, a job, a future, a way out. Every year, millions leave what they know, chasing that idea. But not every journey is what it appears to be. Not every road is leading what it claims. Here, different lives are drawn into the same murky route, a smuggling route.
Last year, on August 9th, I met a man named Shahryar on social media. He called me and invited me. He said there was a job in Turkey, taking tourists around to the Turkish islands. You've been a fisherman. You are a fisherman. You know these things. I said, yes, I do.
About a year ago, I met a man named Hussein through social media. He offered me a job in the city of Marmaris in Turkey.
They called him Ali Abi. He said there was a fishing job. I asked what the payment would be. They said I would be paid $3,000, so I agreed.
Social media is the main means of communication at the modern world. That's why it's used as a main way of communication, recruiting immigrants. By the way, recruiters itself, they could be liable under the criminal laws of the most jurisdictions around the world.
They're communicating through encrypted channels, which can be Telegram, which can be open source social media. We also see that sometimes they're even putting some sponsored ads on platforms such as TikTok, and they're selling packages, saying that if you want to just go through the land, it will be a few hundred euros. If you want to cross the sea, it will be several thousand euros.
Every day we see sponsored ads offering jobs, but some of those offers come from illegal migration networks. Initial contact is often made through social media. recruiters identify people with relevant skills and approach them with what appears to be legitimate work.
These individuals established contact with members of the criminal network through social media and were taken abroad under the pretext of being offered employment as ship captains in exchange for high salaries.
Stories we heard follow almost the same pattern. They arrive in a new country expecting to begin work. At first, the process appears legitimate and organized. Accommodation is arranged, basic needs are covered. But it also creates dependency. By the time questions begin, leaving is no longer straightforward.
My wife told me Gambar is in Turkey. I asked, how did he get to Turkey? How come I didn't know? Why did he go? She said, they are going to work on a ship. They will go abroad to European countries and work legally.
This job is always framed as a really easy job. They're giving all the details. You will be driving from this place to this place and we will be giving you this much of money. And these people who are coming from vulnerable backgrounds, who needs to get some money, they easily fall to this trap.
At this stage, nothing appears illegal. The offer is structured, travel is arranged, the process looks organized and credible.
But in the end, when these people realize that this is a serious crime, they're already breaching the law, which results for a sentence to be in prison from 5 to 8 years.
After about 2 months, he came home and said, "Mother, I want to see you before I leave. They will send us abroad by ship and pay us." I asked what he meant. He said, "If God wills, we'll go and come back within a week." They sent the plane ticket money to my son's card. I said, "Give me the phone, let me speak to him, I won't let you. Give the ticket back."
Some states adopted laws on criminalizing the advertising on social media, recruiting migrants for smuggling or recruiting them to make them work in a better life, find a new job, even if the recruitment itself does not highlight directly that's the illegal migrant smuggling. International also criminalize the acts when transnational organized groups, they facilitate migrants to pass borders. They usually take some money, it's like commercial service. But that's the conduct which is criminalized and punishable under domestic laws of the many states.
Honestly, I did not know who he went with until he had already left. Only later did I learn where he had gone and what had happened. I did not know he was going to Turkey for work. He never told me he would go somewhere else from there.
Silence is part of the method. In these networks, the less people know, the easier the operation runs. And that is because these operations are not run by a single group, but by scattered actors who rarely know each other.
They try to organize their operations as separate as possible. Some people arrange the recruitment, some people arrange the transportation, which can be inland or across borders, or even across the sea. So here we see that these people do not really have the chance to contact each other. So the chain, it's not operated by one single person. Instead, several different parts of the operation are conducted by different people.
I went to Turkey, to the city of Bodrum. I stayed there in a hotel for 10 days. After 10 days, they said we were going to start the job. But when we went there, I realized I had been deceived. It was not the job I had been told about.
When I arrived there, 2 men named Arzu and Zaman met me. They took me to what they called a boat, what we call a lotka. They said, "These are tourists. You need to take them to the island." But I realized they were not tourists.
They said the job would be transporting tourists, but later I realized it was not about tourists. It was about taking illegal migrants across to Greece into Greek territory.
This is the moment when the promise and the reality finally collide. the job they were offered is not the job they find. But in law, the key question is profit.
Migrants themselves, they're not criminally responsible unless they are helping criminal organizations to succeed by smuggling others. Migrant smugglers make money for the service, for arranging them to pass the border illegally, but the human traffickers, they make the profit for a long time. Even after they move to new country, they still exploit either their bodies or exploit their employment to make profit.
Observations show that at the initial stage, the criminal group recruited young people capable of operating high-speed boats and jet skis and skilled in maneuvering to evade pursuit to transport migrants from the Turkish cities of Marmaris, Kos Adası, and Izmir to the Greek islands of Samos, Lesbos, Rhodes, Simi, and Kos. However, it was later documented that the network began providing short training sessions and directing individuals with no maritime background, including those steering a boat for the first time in their lives, to participate in these criminal activities.
Right behind me is the outline of the Greek island of Lesbos, one of the main entry points for irregular migration into Europe. Each year, thousands cross these waters towards islands like this. The crossings are organized and carried out through irregular migration networks and become possible through the people who were brought here from ordinary lives to work and now placed at the center of the operation.
There is a new strategy and tactic. Now the skill and the profession doesn't really matter, as long as the business has a chance to be accomplished.
In the evening, they picked me up on a scooter and took me to the boat. When I got there, I saw many people: Syrians, Arabs, women, men, children, Afghans. I asked, "What is this?" They said, "You will take these people to a Greek island, then you will come back."
I had gone to Turkey. An Afghan man asked us for 1,200 euros. He said, "You will cross into Europe. Everything will be fine."
Syrians, Afghans, Nigerians, people from all kinds of nationalities slowly started gathering there. 2 or 3 villas were completely full. After staying there for a couple of days, once the group was complete, they loaded us all into cars. They kept saying they would take us to a point. They said, "We will take you to the point. You will wait there. A ship will come and pick you up from there." During that time, we realized that we had been deceived. After we understood that, we stayed there for several days, almost a month. After that, we applied to the embassy and requested a travel certificate so we could return to Azerbaijan.
They are smugglers. They run people from Turkey to Greece. There were 17 people. They forced me to do it. They had my documents, so I had no choice. That is how I ended up doing this job.
They told me, at the very least, you have to do it with the scooter. Otherwise, you won't be able to leave here.
At first, these individuals carried out the instructions of network members through mutual agreement. Later, however, the cooperation continued under conditions of blackmail and threats. After some time, they managed to break away from the criminal group and the offenses they had been drawn into, and eventually returned to their homeland.
When I protested and tried to go back, they stopped me and took my passport. They said, "You will go. Even if you are caught, you still have to go to the other side."
There are other forces behind this. It is a group organized almost like a mafia.
When we are talking about the phenomenon of illegal immigration, what matters isn't the individuals that they cross borders illegally, but what matters is the transnational networks behind them.
These networks, these illegal immigrant networks, they do not operate as traditional, typical criminal organizations. They are highly adaptive, decentralized, and they follow technological opportunities quite well.
It was also established that network leaders operating abroad, as well as other members held in detention facilities, communicated directly with their recruits through the WhatsApp application, conducting video conferences to provide instructions.
In modern smuggling networks, control no longer requires presence. Coordination can happen from anywhere, and distance becomes part of the protection.
Immigrant smuggling is a key issue on a global scale. It's a multi-billion industry. Its consequences is outside the one state's jurisdiction, therefore can easily be classified as transnational crime.
Illegal migration and human smuggling are among the stable financial sources of transnational organized criminal networks. They are among the most global challenges faced by modern and developed countries. They also pose a threat to national and state security.
Migrant smuggling has become a global business. According to the United Nations, criminal networks generate billions of dollars each year by moving people across borders. These operations stretch across continents, linking origin, transit, and destination countries. And because they operate beyond the reach of any single state, migrant smuggling has become a form of transnational organized crime.
There is a lot of money involved here. For each person, it is about 7,000 or 7,500 euros. They take the money at the beginning. They say, you go first. When you come back, we will give you your payment.
The people themselves also started pressuring me. They said, you are the captain, you came here, we have paid our money, we are going to Greece. So we went and dropped them off on the island.
They promised money if he took people to Greece. They said, go and come back, and I will pay you well. They led my son into this and sent him on that journey. There, my son was arrested.
A couple of times I took 2 people at a time to a Greek island. One day an argument broke out in the house. I said firmly that I would not do this anymore and that I would report it to the authorities. I told them I would go to some state institution and file a complaint that they were exploiting me, and I did not want to do this work.
Right in the middle of the argument, the Turkish gendarmerie arrived and detained us. They took us away. They held me for 1 day, and on the second day, they sent me to a holding center.
It is often the same story. When so-called facilitators refuse to take part, they face pressure or threats because the operation must continue.
These people are highly adaptable. When someone gets detained in the segmented road, it is very easy for these organizers to find some replacement.
The network has demonstrated a strong level of organization and significant operational capacity. Particular attention has been drawn to the fact that when selecting their recruits, the network often targets individuals who are physically vulnerable, inclined toward risk-taking, and insufficiently aware of the legal consequences of such activities. In many cases, these recruits include young people struggling with substance addiction.
When the law begins to close in, some take greater risks.
After I dropped the people there, I wanted to return. But the Greek Coast Guard put pressure on me, and I jumped onto the island. I stayed there for 27 days. After that, I had no choice. I found an abandoned boat on the shore, took it, and crossed back toward Turkey.
When they were returning, suddenly they were attacked. As soon as they were hit, the boat flipped over. They started sinking. They tried to swim, but it was impossible. At that moment, they were captured.
But after he left, not even a week, maybe 10 days later, I received a call. They said the boys were in Greek waters, heading toward Italy when the boat stopped, and my son sent a signal for help. Greek patrol units arrived and detained them. They seized the boat and took them away.
He said, Mother, I have been arrested. I asked where? In Greece, he said. I asked why. He said, we crossed by boat as migrants and they detained me as the captain. They gave my son 22 years.
And it doesn't matter if that perpetrator is Turkish or foreigner. What matters is that these victims, both the international community and the migrants are suffering as a consequence.
Citizens of the Republic of Azerbaijan who participate in migrant smuggling as part of an organized group outside the country's borders bear criminal responsibility as they place the lives and health of citizens of other countries in a dangerous situation. Azerbaijani citizens who organize illegal migration from the Republic of Turkey to the Greek islands as part of organized groups inevitably face comparatively heavier punishment.
When boats are intercepted at sea, those steering them are often treated as part of the smuggling operation, but the organizers rarely appear on the water. Many crossings are run like a kamikaze business. A boat is bought, migrants are loaded, and a facilitator is sent to steer. Once the money is collected, the organizers step away. Whether the boat reaches the shore, is intercepted, or sinks at sea, the business has already paid off.
Later, my son called and said, "Mother, I have a court hearing on the 10th. Then we heard the court had sentenced him to 6 years. That was very painful for me. We are poor, and my son supported the family. He worked as a laborer, carrying stones, sand, building houses. In the end, my son became someone's victim."
When he was first arrested, he was in a prison in Athens. Later, they moved him 3 or 4 times. At one point, they said he had been given life. Then he said he appealed, and it became 25 years. Later, they said 20 years. It is all confusing. I still do not know the exact situation.
Then they come back thinking they will finally be paid. But everyone who goes there and comes back ends up like this.
The criminal laws in most states uses the test called willful blindness. That means you don't need to know what exactly is happening, but you need to have at least an understanding. You should have known about the process. An average person knows about illegal immigration. That's something we can see on news every day. So they cannot claim, "I didn't know what was done was not legal." Therefore, they will be still held responsible if they are going to help those networks to succeed.
While I was there, I realized that many others like me had been deceived. They lure people with promises of high salaries, bring them there, and in the end, those people face the same fate that I did.
We see in the statistics provided by the Migrant Department of the Turkish state that in 2016 only 450,000 people were detained while they were trying to cross the sea in here, in also the land, in the neighboring countries. Only this year, in the first 2 months of 2026, we see that 17,000 of people were detained. So there's a huge demand to try to cross these borders.
In total, 75 citizens of the Republic of Azerbaijan have been arrested by law enforcement authorities in Turkey and Greece for their participation in illegal migration activities.
Europol's report Combating Migrant Smuggling in 2024 outlines major enforcement efforts. 266 cross-border operations were supported, 48 coordinated action days were carried out, and more than 14,000 intelligence messages were processed to track smuggling networks. One Europol data shows that smuggling routes operate as a market. Prices change depending on distance, transport method, and the level of risk involved. Additional services also increase the cost. Forged documents, safe houses, or arranged travel across borders are often included in the price. In some cases, a single journey can cost several thousand euros.
We have the international bodies such as Interpol or Europol. They work very efficiently. I don't think there is a transnational organization which is able to succeed for a long time. Usually one transnational organization, their members are detained and they have a new one afterwards, but there is no successful end for migrant smugglers and the members of the transnational organization.
On the international level, similar to many countries that adopted the UN Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime, Turkey also changed its criminal code to reflect the obligations arising from the convention, which means that under Article 79 of the Turkish Criminal Code, the people who are facilitating this business, who are benefiting from the vulnerable position of the migrants, they are facing sentences now in the court.
Article 79 of the Criminal Code of the Republic of Turkey establishes criminal liability for migrant smuggling. According to the first paragraph of this article, illegally bringing a foreign national into the country, enabling them to remain in the country, or facilitating the departure of a Turkish citizen or a foreign national from the country for the purpose of obtaining direct or indirect financial gain is punishable by imprisonment for a term of 3 to 8 years and a fine of up to 10,000 days.
But during this transportation process, if the victim's life is endangered, or if there's a degradation situation against the migrant, then their sentence gets increased by 2/3.
This emerging trend creates serious social risks. The repeated association of Azerbaijani citizens with migrant smuggling in international media reports and official assessments is deeply undesirable. The State Security Service continues to implement comprehensive measures to prevent these illegal activities, including cooperation with international partners, preventive steps within Azerbaijan, and the application of necessary legal actions.
Kompleks tədbirlərin həyata keçirilməsini davam etdirir.
Citizens are warned not to engage in such criminal activities in exchange for financial or other benefits. Otherwise, they will face criminal liability and the penalty of imprisonment.
The law measures crime in years and sentences. Life measures it differently, in waiting, in absence, in the quiet of families left behind.
To every family, I would say this: do not leave your child alone. Be there for them, support them. I let my child go once, and it brought me deep regret.
He took care of all my children. He was like a father to them. He supported everyone, but he could not help himself. Now his children have no father. I would never wish this life on any mother or father. I would not wish it on anyone.
My only wish is that no one else's child ends up in places like this, that no one becomes someone else's victim. Whether we have little or much, I only wish our children stay by our side. What I have gone through, I would not wish on any parent or on anyone.
Along these routes, the crossings continue. Boats leave the shore, some reach the other sides. But for many caught in the system, the journey never truly arrives where it was meant to, because somewhere between the reality and the promise, their journey ends halfway across.